We've got 5 hours to go. Five whole hours. I may not make it. We'll see. I will make it. I got to make it 3 more, I guess. So then we'll be ready for World Series game number 1. We'll have pregame coverage tonight starting at 7 p.m. We'll have the national ESPN broadcast of that. And I know people say, well, why can't you do that? Why can't we have, Ben Ingram? The ESPN folks have the rights to the national World Series broadcast. So we will have that for you starting at 7 o'clock. First pitch just after 8 o'clock this evening. Charlie Morton against Framber Valdez, BJ and Ben. And, of course, they announced the roster today. Terrence Gore and Kyle Wright are on. Johan Camargo and Jacob Webb are off the World Series roster. So just some of the things making news here ahead of tonight's game 1 in Houston.
It's history. I mean, it's been a generation since the Atlanta Braves have been in this spotlight of the World Series. And I think we're all excited. I think everybody's thrilled with what's happened here in the postseason so far. Not only the wins, but the moments, the resiliency. But I do want to make this point, and Kevin, I want to get y'all's thoughts on this. I think for so many people, right, getting to the World Series was sort of the line of demarcation. I've heard Christian say that maybe in today's college football, not that you don't want a national championship. Obviously, you want a national championship, but kind of the preseason goal is get to the college football playoff. Like the Final Four in football is revered as much as the Final Four in basketball. This is just the start. And I think it's been really cool to see guys talk about how they're thrilled to be here. They're happy to be here. They're fortunate to be here, but they're not done. Just getting to the World Series was not the goal for the Atlanta Braves. Winning the World Series is the goal for the Atlanta Braves. And I think you can get caught up in the pageantry and the tradition and have reverence for it. It's the World Series, but also understand that you're 4 wins away from a world championship. And I think that's the ultimate goal for this franchise, for this team. But how are you guys feeling? I mean, I've had a terrible kind of ability to forecast what Atlanta's about to do. How are you guys feeling a couple of hours out from opening pitch?
Oh, I mean, I'm very, very anxious, but I'm very, very excited too. I think, BJ, sometimes we forget, we want to look past what it took for the Braves to get here. What it took for the Braves to get here is bigger than just 2021. But it started back, in 2018, Kevin, when Alex Anthopoulos, was in that front office. He started orchestrating a team that was, on track to head back to the World Series. Now, obviously, everybody got to say those type things when you become a new general manager, saying what he took over in that front office was, and for what he is now, what he's done with it is remarkable. But obviously you see how Jock Peterson feels about the team. You've seen the videos of Soler, in the batting practice. You see, BJ, you talk about a guy like Freddie Freeman. It's storylines galore, right? But the Braves had to beat the Dodgers to get here. Like, you beat the Dodgers to get here. It's not like you went up against a slouch team. No, you went up against arguably, definitely the best team in the National League, taking nothing away from the Braves, but the Braves earned this. Not they got here. No, they earned the right to be here. It took them, haven't been there since 1999. It took them 4 years to get back. They did it without Ronald Acuna Jr. You talk about the new additions. Everything up until this point has worked, and to still be in the World Series when Ronald Acuna Jr. was out for the season, how many teams can say that? How many teams can say I can go out there and win without my best player? How many teams can say that one of my starters, in the NLCS was a rookie last year in Ian Anderson? So it's so many guys that have contributed, and you look at the Eddie Rosarios of the world and, and what he's meant to this team, 14 hits, in the playoffs. I just think for me, BJ, you should be excited, and you should be hopeful in the fact that this team has won in an unconventional way. This team does things that nobody else does in the major, in the MLB. This team might not have the best, Kevin, it might not have the best pitchers, but for as far as superstars for the Braves, these guys are superstars for the Braves. They might not be superstars in the MLB, but for what the Braves need, they're superstars. Yep. So I just think that the Braves have earned it. They should be confident. They should be convinced. But once again, they finally got past those pesky Dodgers, Kevin. Now they got to deal with these pesky Astros.
Yeah, I mean, I feel confident going into a postseason. Again, I said it yesterday. I'm not saying chalk up the World Series, but I feel confident in the way this team plays baseball, that they're going to be in it and have a chance to do it. I don't think will necessarily see a team that is going to give up 11 runs in the first inning and be out of it before it's all said and done. That's not the way this team plays. And quite frankly, to go along with what Ben said, go read Jock Peterson's piece in the Players Tribune. Wonderful piece saying, look, I came over to the Braves and I looked around the clubhouse, and remember, Jock Peterson got there shortly after the Ronald Acuna injury. And he said, look, this isn't the same clubhouse I remember playing against. These guys look kind of sad, kind of down. And he said he went with Stephen Vogt and said, hey, we got to change it. We got to be upbeat, have a little fun out here and get things going. And he said, credit Alex Anthopoulos and the front office for putting a team together that can win games. And he told stories about being on the buses and hey, he was on the pitcher's bus and they go, what are you doing on here, man? This pitcher's bus. He goes, I'm riding with the guys that just might be, he used some colorful language, that are going to bring us the World Series. And he goes, a lot of people don't think we can do it, but we just might be the guys that can get it done. And you look at, since that trade deadline, the Braves have been the best team in Major League Baseball. People talk about this all the time. And they say, oh, you beat Milwaukee. Milwaukee cruised to the Central Division League. They won so many games, wasn't even close. The Dodgers won almost 20 games more than you did. Doesn't matter. Now it's the Astros. Well put together franchise on the vindication route to prove that they aren't cheaters. Blah, blah, blah. This team's better than all that. Since the trade deadline, the team that they have currently constituted has been the best team in baseball. I think you should be confident. Now, does that mean it's going to be 4-0? No. Does that mean I think this team has a really good chance to win? Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel confident in the lineup they put out there. I feel confident in the pitching staff they put out there. And if you just watched the way the bullpen performed, and maybe Luke Jackson can say, oh, it's not the Dodgers, I can actually go pitch against somebody. The entirety of the bullpen has been really, really good. And if you're going to tell me that this pitching staff, this team has held a offensive team like the Dodgers to 2 and 3 runs most of the time in that series, if they do that to the Astros, the Braves are going to have an excellent chance to go out there and win ball games here in this World Series.
No, I like y'all's perspectives. I mean, I think this is a team that should feel like they have the momentum. This is a team that should feel like they can take the field and compete with anybody. I mean, I know we all get caught up in the bright lights of the World Series, and understandably so, but the Braves aren't here to just kind of smile and take pictures. And I think you're going to see a motivated team tonight. I think you're going to see an aggressive team tonight. I think Atlanta will try to, as we saw in the Dodgers series, get on the board early and get that offensive momentum going. But I wanted to ask both of you, because Ben, you brought it up. You talked about Freddie Freeman, the storylines, and Kevin, you can blame me. I'm already putting talking points into all-time context here before the start of game one. But I think it's been really interesting to follow the national media coverage of kind of the storylines of the two teams. And I've seen some stories along the lines of Freddie Freeman's moment, Freddie Freeman's legacy. And I know that once this series is over, you're going to have to get to the contract talks and all like that. But in the past, Kevin, we've asked you about Freddie Freeman being a Hall of Famer, and there's been kind of a mixed response. You know, maybe not. You're right there. Is this enough if current production continues, or does he need to win the World Series? Does he need to have a moment or two in this World Series? Where is kind of Freddie Freeman in the all-time annals of history type talk with the Braves in baseball entering his first World Series?
Well, I think everybody knows he is an excellent player. Maybe in the conversation for the best first baseman in the National League, you could make an argument for maybe a Goldschmidt or somebody, but he is right there, and I would put him there as the best first baseman in the National League. Ben has said it on multiple occasions. Great players play in the regular season. Legendary players and legacies are built in the postseason. And so, yeah, if you're Freddie Freeman, you might be on a Hall of Fame track. But if you play well in this series, I think that shores a lot of things up. You bring home a championship, certainly in the city of Atlanta. You have been an Atlanta lifer. And again, for all the folks that have expressed concern, like, oh, why haven't the Braves? Look, 4 more wins, and Freddie Freeman can probably write his own contract. I mean, the price is going up. There's no question with what he's been able to do. But yeah, Freddie Freeman to me is on a Hall of Fame track. You add a World Series ring to that. I think that go along with an MVP. I think that really puts you into some rarefied air there when you're talking about a legendary career. And to me, he is the backbone of this team. Ronald Acuna is the heart and soul of the team. Freddie Freeman is the backbone of the team when Ronald Acuna is there. I think we've seen guys pick that up. Jock Peterson's been kind of that energy lift that the Braves needed. Ozzy Albies has been there, but Freddie Freeman is the backbone of this team. And again, if they get this done, he's a big reason why. Got a big quick question for you. Our old pal, our old chum, Cody Queen, sent me a question, so I'll ask you. He said, what is your biggest concern for the Atlanta Braves coming into this series?
Well, for me, it's when you look at the Braves' opponent, and good to hear from Cody. I think it's the depth and length of the Astros lineup. That's what worries me, and that's been one of the strengths for Atlanta. Right? Is it's not just Freddie Freeman, it's not just Ozzy Albies. It's your 5, 6, 7, 8 hitters can do damage, and I think that's what worries me. If I'm talking to you guys and Cody about this matchup, is that I think Houston has not 1 or 2 guys offensively, not 2 or 3 guys offensively, but that depth in production that makes them really dangerous at all times. Like, Kevin, I don't think you make it through the first 4 and all of a sudden you take a deep breath and you exhale it. No, I think the pressure that Houston puts on you is relentless offensively, and that for me is kind of what worries me from Atlanta's perspective.
What worries me about Atlanta is what always worried me about them is not playing loose. When Atlanta's playing their best, Kevin, they are having fun in the book. They are having fun in the dugout. They are having fun before the game. They are a different type of team. Throw away all this tradition. Hey man, let's just go about business as usual. No, have fun, man, and don't be happy because you finally made it to the World Series. No, you want to win it, and there's something about, like, you know what, when you ask somebody, hey man, did you win the World Series? No, we lost. Well, that the team that beat us was the world champ. Like, we're here, and if you ask the Houston media, you know what they saying, man, this Braves team is dangerous. They're very, very dangerous. The whole world just saw what they did against the Dodgers. The whole world just saw it. So if you think people want to pitch to Rosario right now? Nope. But they're gonna have to. They can't walk him every time at bat. So for me, what scares me is them not being themselves, Kevin. And you know what we love about the Braves is they actually have personalities, not just a personality through on the team. So be yourself. You here. And we don't want to do this. Well, if you lost, you make no, forget all that. You are at your best when you are having fun, when you're doing these memes after the game, dancing in the locker room. Have fun, man. We don't listen. Less snit, more Ronald Acuna Jr. when you talk about personality.
I was going to say that one concern would be complacency. My on-field concern will be the first appearance of Luke Jackson. See how he comes out of the bullpen, handling what happened with the Dodgers. See if he's back to the Luke Jackson we had before. But always good to hear from Cody. Of course, he had to text in because he's not allowed to talk on the show. We don't allow him to do that. We'll come back. We've got more to come here on 3 Out. We'll talk to Dan Matthews, 11 Live in Atlanta. We'll look at this Braves team as they get ready. He's actually in Houston for Game 1 tonight. He will join us when we return. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Game one tonight, Braves and Astros from Houston. First time the Braves have been in the World Series since 1999. Our next guest, the producer of the Chuck Oliver Show, a contributor to 11 Alive there in Atlanta. Dan Matthews joins us here on 3 and Out. Dan, welcome. How are you?
Very well, guys, and well done with the return from break right there with the ZZ Top and the hometown of ZZ Top here in Houston, Texas.
Hey,
that's well done.
Hey, we love ZZ Top here on the show. I understand you are a Houston native, Dan. So tell us about it. There, Houston, been in the World Series a couple of times here recently versus a team that hasn't been there in, 21 years, 22 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, kind of funny when you look at the path of both of these organizations. And I would say that the Braves were probably 3 years behind what the Astros did. But remember, both of these teams kind of mired in just awful baseball for a few years in order to be able to get back to competing for a chance to be in the postseason and win in the postseason. I mean, the Astros just completely stripped it down in the early 2010s by trading away Lance Berkman and Roy Oswalt and Hunter Pence and all those players that they had to take it on the chin for a few years. And we saw the Braves do the same thing with everybody really except for Freddie Freeman. And now we've got an opportunity to see the work of Alex Anthopoulos and this Braves organization to be able to, as you mentioned right there, get back to the World Series and try to do something they haven't done in even a longer amount of time, over 25 years since they won that first world title.
And Dan, you have a good perspective on both teams. When you look at this matchup, where do the advantages lie? Who has an advantage in this series and where?
I would say that bullpen, the Braves definitely do with the way that Tyler Matzik has pitched, and I understand that people are upset with Luke Jackson. But look, until the last couple of games he's been on the mound, Luke Jackson has been absolutely nails for you. So, he's still somebody that I think Brian Snitker is going to try to look to, although you had Kyle Wright to the pitching staff, and I think that that's probably saying we need another reliable right-handed option out of the pen, because I don't think that really you can look to Chris Martin for that right now. And, and Luke Jackson is in a little bit of a funk. But I think there's that. I think the other part of it as well with the Braves, guys, is not really having to switch up the lineup very much and actually adding someone. You get to add Jorge Soler to this lineup now. So that's a huge advantage for them. But my gosh, is this Astros lineup just from top to bottom just incredibly good. So, it's just something that you look at both of these teams and it's really kind of hard to find a decided advantage.
Dan, with so many, with both teams coming in with something to prove, obviously Houston trying to get past, from the yesteryears, and the Braves finally showing that they can go out here and get it done after 22 years. What do you think is the biggest storyline coming into game one?
I think that the biggest storyline is that the Braves trying to prove that they belong here. I think that, it's kind of the narratives that you saw. It was, well, the Brewers didn't hit well enough. Well, you know what? The Braves hit well enough and they beat them. So credit to the Braves. Then, you look at the Dodgers series and what did we hear? Oh, injuries. Oh, they were tired. That's their problem. That's not the Braves' problem. So, you look at that as well and just say, finally give some credit where credit's due. And, now I think that they're going to have to try to prove that they can. And I think they're hungry to try to do that too. I mean, you see what Jock Peterson wrote today in the Players Tribune. They definitely want to show they belong.
Dan Matthews joining us here on 3 and Out. And Dan, you talk about this team. I know Houston's got a very good lineup. You talk about the Braves. There's not a rest spot in that 1 through 9 now with the DH that you put out there as well. How important is this game one? You got Charlie Morton, seasoned veteran. That's why you signed him, was to pitch in games like this versus Framber Valdez for the Astros, who's making his first World Series start.
Yeah, I mean, it is very important because I think the most important thing for the Braves right here is send it back at worst to Atlanta 1-1. I think if you send it back the way that you played at Truist Park, you got to feel really good about your chance to take this series. So if they can get tonight, huge. If they don't get tonight, but then they can get tomorrow, even better. Because like I said, it's a chance for you to go home, a place that you've seen that you've got great support, and also too, a place that you've not lost this entire postseason. So until somebody beats you there, you got to feel good about playing at home. So that's what's going to be huge for this team. And if the Braves are going to give themselves a great opportunity, like you said, I mean, Charlie Morton is a great chance. And then also, too, Max Fried, you got to believe that he really wants to try to bounce back from the rough outing last time out against the Dodgers.
And Dan, you're in Houston right now, Houston native. From the Astros standpoint, do they feel like the narratives and talking points have moved on from the controversies of yesteryear? What's kind of the vibe, the atmosphere, the mindset around Houston?
It's very much win. I think that probably from the fan perspective, I was talking with a buddy of mine that does local radio here in Houston, and he said, we need to win this because if we don't, it's going to start to be the question of, are we the 2020s version and late 2010s version of the Atlanta Braves? They proved they could get there. They proved that aside from 1995, that the World Series was tough for them. So I think there's that. As far as the cheating and everything goes, I mean, man, every single player that stepped into the interview room yesterday was asked about that. And man, every single one of them said, we're not focused on that. We're focused on trying to put together 4 great games of baseball and to be able to lift the trophy at the end of it. So that's what they said. I think, though, too, that part of what's made this team move the last couple of years is the fact that they have played with such a chip on their shoulder, that they have seemingly played well when they've gone on the road and had inflatable trash cans thrown at them and been booed, and the signs and the chants and all these different types of things. It seems like they've kind of really enjoyed that. So I think that if you have that, then use that to your advantage and use that to motivate you.
How ridiculous has Eddie Rosario been, and can he find a way to keep it going?
Oh, I mean, the Braves are hoping so, because he was unreal. I mean, the only other time I think in the postseason that I've seen somebody be on a tear like that, funny enough, playing against the Astros was, I don't know if you guys remember the 2004 NLCS between the Astros when they were in the National League playing against the St. Louis Cardinals, and Carlos Beltran seemingly could not get out for the Astros. If it was home runs, if it was extra base hits, whatever it was, he was delivering for that team. That's what Eddie Rosario was in the last series against the Dodgers. He was just unbelievable. Even his outs were hard contact. I mean, he was getting on base no matter what. And I loved going back and rewatching the bottom of the 4th inning the other night against the Dodgers, where he was down 0-2 and he fought, spoiled off pitches, did whatever. And then Walker Buehler probably got a cutter that he didn't get a good enough cut on, and it went right into the barrel of Eddie Rosario. And when you're seeing the ball as well as he is, and you barrel something up like that, you keep it foul, it's going to be good. I keep it fair.
Dan Matthews joining us here on 3 and Out. Dan, who is one guy that you think is kind of the linchpin here for the Braves? Like, if they have a good series, the Braves are going to do good things.
I think it's got to continue to be Tyler Matzik. I mean, you have called on him to bail you out in so many situations. Wow, has he done it? I mean, the best you could hope for the other night was no outs, runners on second, third. And you're thinking to yourself, with the Dodgers, this has the ability to be really bad for the Braves. We've seen the Dodgers have innings like this, and it spirals out of control. But he comes in, strikes out the side, much less strikes out Mookie Betts, who doesn't strike out very often. And he didn't just strike him out, he blew it by him. And that's something that doesn't happen very often. And then he comes back out the next inning and gives you a flawless 8th inning, and then you're able to get a flawless 9th inning out of Will Smith, who completely in the hopes for the Dodgers. So I think that Tyler Matzik's got to continue. And if he continues, because he has been the most consistent option out of that bullpen, if he does, then I think the Braves give themselves a really good shot in this series.
All right, Dan, we got to get to it here. Houston native, but you're a very popular Atlanta sports media personality. So how are you handling this emotionally?
I give the answer of personally and professionally. I mean, it's not quite, the connection like that was Clemson and Alabama, but obviously, I mean, I grew up in Houston, as you said. I'm a massive Houston Astros fan, and always have been, always will be. And also, too, I mean, I've really come to become a fan of the Braves over the last few years, and I always had been, too. I mean, growing up, I was a corner infielder, and I loved Chipper Jones and Fred McGriff, and watching the games with Skip, Pete, and Joe on TBS, and being able to root on the Braves that way. So, there's the personal and then the professional as well. That absolutely, with us being the Braves flagship, it would be tremendous for us to be able to ride the momentum of having the first world champion in the city of Houston, or excuse me, wow. I know, there it is. Freudian slip out on that, but the city of Atlanta in over 25 years. That would be huge.
Dan Matthews, our guest here on 3 and Out. Dan, appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Always great, guys. Sorry I can't see y'all this week down in Jacksonville, but hopefully get y'all next year.
Absolutely. Dan Matthews, our guest. Thanks for joining us. As again, the Braves and Astros coming up tonight. We'll have pregame coverage 7 o'clock. First pitch just after 8. Braves have put the lineup out. BJ and Ben. Going to start off with Jorge Soler, DH and hitting leadoff. Freddie Freeman, Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, Eddie Rosario moves down to the 5 spot. Adam Duvall, Travis d'Arnaud, Jock Peterson, and Dansby Swanson.
Well, give us some reaction to that, Kevin. I mean, to me, I thought entering this, we were going to see Eddie Rosario leading off. But look, Soler, of course, brings a different dynamic, the power, the incredible power, in addition to just to put the ball in play, that consistent ability. But is that a surprise to you?
A little bit, but that's where Soler was hitting the last 3-4 weeks of the season and really had a lot of success. Plus, I think the Braves kind of they kind of got used to that Ronald Acuna thing where it's hey, right out of the gate, if you make a mistake, it's over the fence. And that scares people, obviously, from the jump. And if you don't want to pitch to him, then you get Freddie Freeman right after that. And if you manage to get down and Albies and Riley gets on, oh, by the way, you have the hottest hitter in the postseason, potentially in the 5-hole to drive runners in. I mean, so again, when you got a guy going like that, get some guys on ahead of him and let him do damage by bringing runs in. I think that looks very, very solid. It gives you a good righty-lefty split in the lineup. And again, to me, there's not a breather in there at all. I know the Astros don't have many breathers, but to me, it's pretty solid, 1 through 9. Yeah, no, don't question Brian Snicker on a day like today.
Defend the Snick.
That's right.
On a Tuesday.
The man managed him into a World Series. He's got a little something working. We got more to come here on 3 and Out. We'll switch gears. We'll talk a little Georgia and Florida game coming up on Saturday. We'll chat with Seatric Faison, former All-American running back there at Florida. And he's a 2021 inductee into Florida Georgia Hall of Fame this weekend. So we'll talk to him about that and more. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.
Welcome back to 3 and Out. I am Ben Troop. That is Kevin Thomas, BJ Bennett. If you don't know, there's a big game going on this weekend in Jacksonville, known as the Florida-Georgia game, and Florida-Georgia. Well, my next guest is our next guest is a Florida Gator legend. Listen, got drafted in the 4th round of 2005 by the Minnesota Vikings, played for them Jags, also them Edmonton, Eskimos, but most importantly, a 2021 Florida-Georgia game Hall of Famer, Fletcher High School's own Cedric Faison. I know I'm a C4. What's going on with you today, C4?
What's up, Troop?
Now, C4, listen, man, before I even get into the game, man, I know you the head coach right now at Fletcher's Finest. What was it like getting that call saying, hey, congratulations, Cedric, you have been inducted into the 2021 Florida-Georgia game Hall of Fame. Get to going with that boy, Keywan Ratliff, a.k.a. Rad.
Oh man, it was amazing. Playing in that orange and blue, and just being from Jacksonville and getting a call that I'd be going in our Hall of Fame and everything. A kid growing up and playing in front of their home crowd, man, it just meant everything. And it's my first Hall of Fame accomplishment, so it's definitely a blessing.
Talk about playing in this game. Obviously, a lot has been on the line when you play in Jacksonville, and also a chance for somebody to ruin the other one's season. Georgia comes in number 1. What does Florida got to do to pull off the upset here?
Man, I think first and foremost, we got to play defense. We play defense. I think we're going to put up points. And, it's Florida-Georgia game, and usually we do a good job on taking down a giant when we're the team that's not favored to win. So I think as long as we play defense and play smart football, the outcome will come in our favor.
Now, you know what it's like, obviously, to have a big game in this game. As a junior, you had 139 rushing yards. What was your mindset like when you got ready to play Georgia, and was it extra special for you to play in the game because you are from Jacksonville?
My mindset, I always knew in that game I got to put on for the city. If you play bad, you're going to know that you played bad. If you play well, they're going to let you know, especially when you come home. So my mindset was, play well and try to help my team win, but you definitely had to put on for the city.
C4, when you think about this Florida offense, wasn't able to run the football the first 3 years under Dan Mullen. They are 4th in the country right now running the football, even though Georgia's defense is 2nd against the run. How much easier is the game plan when you can go out there and establish the run?
Oh, it's definitely it's way easier. When you can establish the run, it open up the pass, and once the pass working, you have to play football, man. You can't just stack the box and stuff like that. So the run game gonna open up the pass, but the pass definitely still keeps the run open. So as long as you can run the ball early, establish the pass game, man, I think the running backs will continue to see the good running lanes, especially versus that Georgia defense that, you really got to establish the run versus that defense and, just to keep the secondary honest and the D-line on it.
Cedric Faison joining us here on 3 and Out. I know it's Anthony Richardson or Emory Jones or Anthony Richardson. Dan Mullen said they'll both probably play. How do guys in the locker room handle that uncertainty at quarterback? Obviously, I'm sure guys have a preference one or the other, but how do you deal with that going into a game like this where it's, hey, both guys are going to play, don't know who's going to get the majority of the snaps and things like that?
Any other week, I could say it might be a problem. But, the Florida-Georgia week, man, that's the least of the guys' concerned that's in that locker room. Their concern is all about winning. And, those guys are worried about the job that they have to do. I don't think they're getting too caught up in who should be the quarterback. I think they're more worried about, winning this game.
And it seems like, you read the predictions from people around the country. Georgia's not only a favorite, but a pretty heavy favorite. I know you said that's something that y'all took advantage of, those opportunities when you were at Florida. If you're on the Gators team now, are you paying attention to all the hype that Georgia's getting? And is that extra motivation for you?
Not at all. Our motivation is mostly, Georgia to us, especially when you're a Gator. So there's not much motivation. It's just, and we're going to treat Georgia like we always treat Georgia. And, back when we played, we felt like we're supposed to always beat Georgia. So, there's no extra motivation. And I hope those guys got the same mindset that we had is, man, it's Georgia and we're supposed to beat Georgia. As long as they got that mindset, I think those guys will do well.
I mean, even sticking with the mindset, C4, you being a running back that understands. I mean, it's all about getting better each quarter. As BJ mentioned, over the 130 yards, your junior year. What is it about the game, within the game, that you try to be able to go out there and establish yourself, quarter one to quarter four?
You got to grind, especially versus a good defense. And, they had David Pollock and Thomas Davis and those guys. But I figure if I beat them up early, when it came to third and fourth quarter, that was my quarter. And that's what those guys got. As long as they run hard, and you need to, first and foremost, early in the game, you got to run into guys. You can't try to run around guys. Again, you give them hope that, this guy ain't going to try to run hard. But as long as you're running into guys early, when you get to that third and fourth quarter, they're going to question themselves whether they want to hit you or not. So that's what those guys got to do. They got to, they got to bring some power at the beginning of the game so that third and fourth quarter could go a little easier.
Cedric Faison joining us here on 3 and Out. And we always enjoy asking players about just this game and the unique setting, where it's, split down the middle, 50-50, and you don't really get another game environment like this in college football, and certainly not in bowl games, not even in the playoffs. Do you get it where it's truly 50-50? Just speak to playing in that game, and for guys who are playing in this thing for the first time, what that experience is like and what they might be walking into here.
Oh yeah, I tell you, I told somebody yesterday, when you get on that bus ride, man, and as you're coming from Gainesville or Jacksonville, the players ask you about the game, especially young guys, the first thing you do is tell them, man, it's going to be the prettiest sight you see in football, because nowhere else you see it like that. And that 50-50 split is, man, just everything. And it brings that much of motivation out, man. But it's definitely the prettiest sight in football. And, for that game, it's always great to run out the tunnel. But when you play in Florida, Georgia, it's always great to see that sea of red and that sea of orange and blue. So I can say that's definitely a sight to see, and it's a memorable moment.
All right, here's what we all want to know. We're going to change the subject a little bit, because Ben was in here before the interviews talking about how great of a blocker he was. And we all know that he had the big catches, but he said, hey, man, Cedric was putting up huge numbers. I was out in front laying out blocks. Describe Ben Troop, the blocker, when you guys were at Florida.
Hey, my boy definitely blocked. Hey, he probably underrated as a blocker, but I know as long as I was running the ball, I was fine, because me and Troop had a different type of relationship. My first day at UF, they put me against Troop when we was doing a drill, and I was like, man, y'all tried me with a tight end. And then he actually beat me in the drill. And ever since that day, me and my boy was tight. So, anytime I got the ball, I knew I could depend on running around his edge. And I knew if I broke in the open field that he was going to be behind me to probably block anything that was trying to chase me down. So I definitely give my boy credit for his blocking skills.
Now, C4, one run in particular that BJ is talking about. You remember the first play from scrimmage out, coming out the halftime against Arkansas? I said, C4, man, listen, let's go ahead and take it to the crib so we can be one and done. Could you tell Kevin and BJ what happened on that play, please?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Troop challenged me right before we went out to halftime, and he was like, hey, man, let's be one and done. You ain't did nothing all game. They call Cedric Cobbs looking like the real C4. And I say, hey, Troop, you just tell the coach to put me in first and give me the ball, and we're going to score. And, hey, he blocked this man. I just had to get by the backer, ran by the backer, and it was off the races. So you definitely turned the game around with that comment.
And C4, man, listen, I'm super duper proud of you and Keywan getting inducted to the Florida Georgia Game Hall of Fame. I was blessed enough to get inducted in 2016. I know what it's like for you being a guy that, Fletcher High School, Jacksonville's, one of Jacksonville's greatest. I know what that feeling is like, man, but I'm super duper happy for you, man. You are cemented forever in the greatest game in college football.
And I appreciate that, big brother. It's definitely a blessing.
Cedric Faison, our guest here on 3 and Out. Cedric, appreciate the time. Thanks so much. And again, congratulations.
Thank y'all for having me.
Appreciate Cedric Faison joining us here on 3 and Out. And Ben said, quote, I got my one block and I ran down the field with my number one up in the air, chasing him the whole way.
I mean, at the end of the day, when I was at the combine, they were like, Ben, what type of block would you expect? Turn on the Arkansas film, not the Arkansas tape, the Arkansas play, and then I'll be able to show you what can happen. Listen, if you want to score in a running game, now put me on the backside and on the front side if they don't expect me. No, I think at the end of the day, Kevin and BJ, C4 is one of those guys to where I'm just really, really happy for him, because I don't know how much pressure it is being from Florida, 45 minutes down the road. I mean, being from Jacksonville, 45 minutes down the road from Gainesville and having that much pressure on you. But like he said, if you're from Jacksonville, if you're a baller, they will let you know. And if you are not, they will let you know. But I'm super duper happy for C4, back at Fletcher High School as their head coach right now. And hey, man, on Friday, his Hall of Fame induction will be going on, and I'm super duper happy for him.
Yeah, we appreciate him coming on and joining us. Terrence Edwards, Georgia, legendary wide receiver, will join us. We'll hear from Buck Bellew on the show, and Brandon Seiler, former Gators All-American linebacker, will join us as well. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back. The third annual Georgia Florida Legends Series coming up on Friday at the Westin on Jekyll Island. Going to be out in the courtyard area, Ben, for the Georgia Florida Legends Series. We'll broadcast 3 and out from there on Thursday and Friday. And again, you'll have a great cast of characters there involved from the Georgia Florida game. Will be outside in the little courtyard area, having a good time.
Looking forward to it. I mean, it's going to be star-studded. You know, Washawn Ely, Carlos Alvarez, DJ Jones, Jeff Chandler, D Webb. I mean, Willie McClendon. I'm most looking forward to the fact I get a chance to pay homage to the ones that came through this game. As you mentioned, Kevin, it's going to be at the beautiful Westin and in the courtyard on Jekyll Island, and it's going to be free to the public. You're going to get a chance. It's going to be fan friendly. Everybody come out and enjoy yourself. Going to be able to take pictures, sign autographs, meet some of these former Gator Greats, some of these former Georgia Greats, and listen. The headquarters for Florida Georgia will be at the Westin in the courtyard on Friday. Come out. We should enjoy it. It should be a lot of fun. And listen, second down will be going live from there, as well as 3 and out will be going live from there as well.
Well, and Ben, you and I were doing the really hard work, the real work. We had to go over and just relax, on the back porch and in the courtyard today at the Westin. But it's so beautiful back there, right down the, really, you could probably punt the football from the courtyard to the ocean. So great views. The weather's supposed to be great. Going to be plenty of seating for people, as you said, access for people to come get an autograph, get a picture, and looking forward to it. But it was nice being over there today. Such a wonderful location and venue there at the Westin.
It should be a lot of fun. I mean, listen, Kevin Thomas going to be in the building. Christian Gonkel going to be in the building. I'm looking forward to having everybody. Listen, the voice, Mark Douglas, will be in the building. But no, the third annual Florida Georgia Legends Series, it's going down on Friday at the Westin in the courtyard. Going to be incredible round table, great discussion, and I'm really looking forward to sitting back and just listening to these guys talk about the moments, talk about the memories, talk about the game,
all the truths and all the exaggerations that come out of there. Again, I know the last year was virtual. First year, really, really cool, and folks got to have a lot of fun listening to the stories. Just go back and forth here with all the guys gathered to talk about that game. So coming out Friday should be a lot of fun. We've still got more to come here on the show. We'll take 3 when we come back. Also next hour, Brandon Seiler, former Florida linebacker. And we're talking game 1 of the World Series coming up 7:00 with pregame, first pitch just after 8:00 tonight there from Houston. Hour number 2, take 3 coming up next here on 3 and Out. Hit us up on Twitter. Love to hear from you at Pigskin Radio. Good to have you back here. Hour 2 of 3 and Out. We'll hear from Brandon Seiler, former Gators All-American linebacker here in this hour. Final hour, we'll hear from Terrence Edwards, former Georgia wide receiver and just a legendary career there at the University of Georgia. Also, Buck Bellew will weigh in on Georgia, Florida coming up. We'll look at the Game 1 impacts tonight as the Braves and Houston start off the World Series this evening. So we'll get to that in just a little bit. But first, let's take 3 here on 3 and Out. All right, fellas, take 1. Bucs wide receiver Mike Evans, I don't know if you saw this over the weekend, gave Tom Brady's 600th touchdown pass. He caught it, got the touchdown, 600th career touchdown. He gave it to a fan in the stands. And for a trade, the team is giving this fan 2 signed jerseys, a helmet from Tom Brady, a Mike Evans signed jersey and his game cleats, $1,000 credit at the team store, 2 season passes for the remainder of the season, and full season passes for 2022. And Tom Brady said on Monday Night Football's Manning Cast that he's also giving him a Bitcoin, 1 Bitcoin. What would you ask for? Keep in mind, I saw what Pro Football Talk, I think, said that for whatever it's worth, Tom Brady's 600 touchdown ball would be worth approximately $500,000.
Yeah, and I think Christian was trying to explain to me the whole Bitcoin idea earlier, and I wasn't doing a good job of following it. But apparently, the approximate value of 1 Bitcoin is about $62,000. I guess I don't know, if that changes, but I think if I get that football, I would kind of feel obligated to give it back to Brady because it's his moment, right? I mean, it's his pass, it's his moment, it's a milestone that is an all-time milestone. It's history. I mean, I want to meet him. And I think it would make sense for the Bucs to hook me up with tickets for a couple of years. I think that makes sense. But I think if I met him, maybe got like a game use something, got it signed, got a picture, just got to talk to him for a few minutes. And yes, the Bucs can hook me up with some tickets for a while. I think that would be cool. But a part of me would feel like, hey, this is Brady's history. I want to meet him, and hopefully the team will do right by me, and I'll get some stuff or whatever. But if you get your picture, have your moment talking with Brady, get the autograph, I think that's pretty cool. And I understand the whole it's worth $500,000, but I mean it's his history, it's his moment. So I think if I can meet Brady, get a couple of game use things signed, get a picture, I think that would be pretty cool.
It is cool. It's just not enough. Okay, you asking me to give you something that you just gave. You asked me to give it back. That was Mike Evans' fault because Mike Evans had no clue it was touchdown number 600. I appreciate Mike Evans' signed game 1 cleats. I appreciate signed jerseys. No, I want a signed jersey I want a signed jersey of every jersey that Tom Brady's ever worn. New England too. Whatever color scheme it is, I want the blue, I want the white, I want the color rush. I want the pewter, I want the white, I want the creamsicle, I want it all. And I want to be a season ticket holder for life. What is it going to hurt you making sure that am I the most famous Tampa Buck fan of all time? Yep. You just made me that. I mean, think about it. Cam Newton gave out a football every time he scored. And man, we're gonna need that back from you. That fan is very, 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 very nice. Because the thing is, worth $500,000. Number one, what about Tom Brady giving me a couple of game balls? It ain't more famous than the 600 I just gave you. I just think that Tom Brady could do a little more. What's a jersey? No. What's a jersey? I want 12 in every color, every team, and I think and maybe you make me a season ticket holder for life. I think that's worth the fact that I just gave back probably the most famous football you're ever gonna have in Tom Brady's career. What?
I think there's a few Super Bowl footballs that might be more.
Who cares? Who cares about it? He got too many Super Bowls. Who cares? Deion Branch is a Super Bowl MVP because of Tom Brady. Because here's the thing: how many Super Bowl? How many touchdowns is they ass back? That would be 1 this weekend. So season ticket holder for life. Every jersey signed, a sit-down interview with Tom Brady, and maybe a dinner.
An interview?
What?
You're adding stuff.
Tom Brady is on social media now, BJ. How much social media was he doing in New England? Didn't care. Didn't want to do it. Life wasn't fun. Life is fun now.
No, he did apparently ask for a round of golf with Tom Brady, and I don't think he got it, obviously. But
so he
yeah, so he gave him a Bitcoin, which Again, it's $62,000 approximate value. But if you are a cryptocurrency speculator, there's a lot of people that think if you hold on to that one Bitcoin, at some point it will be worth hundreds of thousands of
Kevin,
dollars.
are you a cryptocurrency
No, I do not own
speculator or
cryptocurrency.
spectator?
But not yet, BJ. That's for another show. Don't ask him about
No,
his
we're not.
cryptocurrency.
We're not getting into cryptocurrency. No, I do not own cryptocurrency. But there is, but a lot of people are. A lot of people are into that market, and the value at 62,000. I want to say what just earlier this year was like half that. Yeah. Yes. So the longer Bitcoin stays relevant, the more people that get into it, it's going to continue to gain in value. So, did you know you can mine Bitcoin? I won't even blow your mind with that.
No. He tried to kind of walk me down that, and I said, dude, just stop.
How do you mine Bitcoin? I know I'm trying to ask BJ. I know.
With a
Typically,
shovel?
I'm not
With a
going to.
shovel? I don't know.
I'm not going to
I don't know.
explain it. No. I said no. Okay. I'll be happy to not explain it on the radio and pseudo explain it for what
Now,
I
go
know.
ahead and explain it, Kevin. Go ahead and
No,
explain
I'm not
it.
going to. We actually don't have time. We have to get to take two. But yeah, I think he could have asked for a little more. I don't know if it's on Tom Brady implicitly to like grant a. I mean, he's not doing 60 minutes. He's not doing. Give me an interview, Tom.
Oh my
No,
goodness! I mean,
No,
you
Tom
can't-
can go meet. I agree with BJ. Like, I give the ball back. Like, come give me. Like, hey, what's up?
No,
Talk
no,
for a
no,
few
no,
minutes.
no, no,
He
no.
doesn't owe me like
You can't-
an hour sit down.
BJ, I'm not gonna say.
You have to bring
No,
Giselle along.
No, BJ, I'm not gonna say the gift I gave you that I know you would love. If I asked for it back, what would I have to give you in return to get it back?
Well, that's a good question because the answer you would get is no. You're not getting it back.
All right, moving along. Take two. Rank the following NFL quarterbacks or NFL draft prospects at the quarterback position: Matt Corral, Sam Howell, Spencer Rattler, Desmond Ridder, and Malik Willis.
Yeah, it's changed some. I mean, I think and Ben and I disagree a little bit. I think there are some questions with Spencer Rattler. I mean, look, at the beginning of the season, going to win the Heisman and going to be the number 1 overall pick. And he's clearly a very talented quarterback, but you've lost your starting job. And I think there's some uncertainty. Does he even enter the draft, or is he going to grad transfer or transfer whatever and play somewhere else? I think for me, the number 1 is Matt Corral. The proficiency numbers are there. I think the mobility, you look at the modern game, you need the mobility. Matt Corral's been one of the best rushing quarterbacks in the country. This year, he's close to the national lead in rushing touchdowns, can make all the throws. I think Matt Corral would be 1. I would probably go Sam Howell 2. I know North Carolina hasn't been great, but he's still putting up points and having success and throwing the ball around. I like Desmond Ridder. I think he's in my 3 spot and probably capable of jumping Sam Howell if Cincinnati continues to play well. Seems to have a great feel for the moment. Always comes through in the clutch for Cincinnati. I'll put Willis 4th, having a really good year yet again, and then Rattler for me. Just with the questions, I would put 5th.
Wow, man. Sam Howell to me, BJ, is still my number 1. I think what we forget about Sam Howell is what he's been doing since he's been at North Carolina. I think he's got well over. I think he has well over 70, maybe almost 80 touchdowns already in his career. And what he did as a true freshman, BJ, we can't understatement. 38 touchdowns, 7 picks as a true freshman. I think 30 touchdowns and 7 picks as a sophomore. Right now, I think he has like 18 and I think like 6. I do think Matt Corral is my number 2. Matt Corral is a guy, you put him in the right system, he is going to be lethal. Because Lane Kiffin has a very, very nice system. Make no mistake about it. Everybody that's in that Lane Kiffin system usually finds a way to have big time success. Desmond Ridder to me is the wild card, but I have him at number 3. I think that he's a guy he's a gamer. I mean, I really don't know how good of a player he can be because of what he's doing in Cincinnati. I still like Spencer Rattler. I'm not going to just completely throw him away, BJ, because he isn't playing well. I remember him coming out of high school, and unfortunately, he's not going to be a guy that's going to say, hey, he's not going to be a Lincoln Riley fan at this point because he got benched. And I'm going to go with Mr. Willis, obviously, number 5 in Liberty. But watch out for Sam Howell because make no mistake about it. Dual threat quarterbacks is what everybody wants. You want a Matt Corral because he's a dual threat. But the reason why Tom Brady is the GOAT because he can dance in that pocket. He's not going to run away from you. He's going to avoid the rush. And he's going to get the ball out. Sam Howell can make all the throws. And What, 38-7 as a true freshman, 30-7 as a sophomore? I can live with those numbers. I mean, I don't trust players who don't throw picks because to me they're too careful and they don't take chances. Taking chances means you're gonna throw some picks sometimes. So 38-7 and 30-7, what, 18-6 thus far this year. He's probably on schedule again, BJ, to have another 30 touchdown plus season. Give me Sam Howell as my number one.
All right, moving on to take 3. Explain Bitcoin. I'm just kidding. Moving on, take 3. Mike Tomlin.
BJ was like, huh?
He's just like, you changed it up on me. Mike Tomlin had to say no. He's not interested in the Southern Cal job. I guess LSU trying to throw his name out there as well, saying, look, no, I'm not taking the college job. Which current NFL head coach, though, would be best for one of these high-profile college vacancies?
Yeah, and we'll have to see how many of those jobs are open. I think a couple of guys come to mind. I do think Mike Tomlin would be great. Going to stay with Pittsburgh. Maybe Sean McVay. You know, when you think about being a real young guy, offensive, just innovator in terms of coming up with great downfield passing schemes, that seems to be kind of the model for success for a lot of programs. I think you could make some comparisons, you know, with Lincoln Riley and look at what his offenses have done with the production, the team winning, Heisman Trophy winners, things like that. You know, it's interesting, Kevin, I know you said in the show meeting, I'm going to go ahead and throw your answer out there because it was a good one. Said Pete Carroll. Why? Because you've already won national championships. You know, you can come back and you know, come back and build another dynasty. But I think McVay would be interesting just with his offenses.
Ooh, I think Mike Vrabel would be really, really good in college. I think he could resonate. He could resonate with today's athlete. Plus, he's a hard-nosed coach that's very, very demanding. And usually, those type of coaches get a lot of great production. I think Coach Flores down there in Miami will be a good college coach. I mean, I think sometimes the opportunity was there, but it's just the wrong venue. He should be a head coach. Just shouldn't be in the National Football League. He obviously wants to build his team around, you know, young, big arm quarterbacks that just ain't working out for him. In Miami. And BJ, somebody I thought you would say, I think Coach Harbaugh, the other Coach Harbaugh, not the one that's already at Michigan, the brother in Baltimore. I think that the one thing about it is this: I look at how his team plays, and I look at what he says to the players when he's telling Lamar Jackson as a rookie, and one day everybody's going to be wanting to be Lamar Jackson when you look at the way you play. The fact that I think it's important that we continue to have the most 100-yard rushing games in NFL history by not getting down in the victory formation. Those type of things players resonate with, and he seems to go to bat for his players. So, hey, I mean, Mike Vrabel, Coach Flores, Coach Harbaugh, and BJ, you did say Riverboat Run. I don't know. I mean, it might be good, but then again, you know, you got to get these kids to listen to you. These young kids, these young boys now, man, they want to, if you can't help them get to the league, because they're going to ask them, hey, man, why you do Cam like that? Well, you know, can't trust it. Listen to this. You went from Cam to Helinski or whatever. Can't trust those type of decisions. All right.
Is that Riverboat Ron on a recruiting visit? Hey, I'd love for your son to come to school. Hey, man, why'd you do Cam like that?
Well, I mean, Kevin, I mean,
that's the first.
Those are the type of questions supposed to come up. I mean, think about this. I mean, the best quarterback you've ever had, you went to the Super Bowl, you had Cam. Cam's available right now. Yeah, but we got Ryan Fitzpatrick. I can't live with those type of decisions. I can't live with a guy that's been on every team in the NFL. Very, very smart. I bet his credit score is through the roof. But I want a guy that has 70 career rushing touchdowns. And, you know, I think he's still got a lot of football left in him.
Let's take 3. We do it each and every day at this time. We'll come back. Game 1 draws ever closer. Charlie Morton going for the Braves, Framber Valdez for the Astros. We'll break it down. How important is game 1 to set the tone for the series? We'll break that down next here on 3 and Out. Good to good to have you here on this Tuesday. Kevin Bennett, BJ. Braves game 1. We were just comparing, facial hair here on the show. Of course, I, the grand champion of facial hair, weighed in heavily. Look at that. Look at that. Need to get a comb. that being
Please get off the face.
It's the play.
No, because there is a certain person on this show.
It's the
that
playoff.
don't mind telling you, I'm a man, so I can grow a beard.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, listen, some people can grow a beard, some people can't. It is what it is.
This is my playoff beard. Look at it.
okay. I mean, Kevin, would you ever? I mean, if that stuff would grow out, like that little grassy knoll.
Yeah, I did No Shave November and had to extend it to December just to get it to grow in good. So, anyways, it wasn't really much a joke as the truth. Sometimes the truth is bad, Christian. Braves and Astros, game 1 tonight. How important is it for the Braves to win game 1, BJ Ben, in your estimation?
I kind of look at it as I look at a series in blocks. I think you need to win one of the first 2, right? And they always say that about home field advantage. And it's not so much where the game is played. I think you have to maximize your best starting pitchers. And you're looking at Charlie Morton tonight, and then you have Max Fried in game 2. And I don't know if a bullpen game is in the future. Of course, Ian Anderson's out there, but I do wonder, maybe with Kyle Wright in there, does that give you the versatility to have a multi-inning pitcher if you do need to go to a bullpen game? But I think you need to win one of the 2 games in the block where your 2 best pitchers are out there. And that's with all due respect and appreciation for Ian Anderson. Max Fried, I believe, is now in his mid to late 20s. Charlie Morton's 37 and has pitched in the World Series before. And like you said in the interview earlier with Dan Matthews, Kevin, you didn't bring Charlie Morton in to go 7 against the Marlins in August. I mean, you didn't. You brought Charlie Morton in because he's one of the most experienced postseason pitchers in Major League Baseball. He has over 80 now postseason innings, and that matters. And you know that the Astros are going to have good pitchers. You know that they're going to have confidence in the guys they're running out there. But you brought Charlie Morton back to Atlanta to do this. Max Fried has been basically the ace for the Atlanta Braves. When you're the ace, you have to win. The team has to win when you're on the mound. So I don't know that it's necessarily tonight. It could be game 2. But I think in order to win this series, I mean, I feel comfortable saying it. In order to win this series, I think you need to get one of the first 2.
I think it's incredibly important for the Braves to come out and get game 1, Kevin, because it eliminates doubt. I mean, this is the Braves haven't been here since 1999, and it's you look at the Braves Dodgers series. The Braves already had experience of being up 3-1. They did it a year before. They look, man, we know what it's going to take in order to put this team away. And it's like what Dan Matthews said. They've been really, really good at home. You talk about a team in Houston that has a lot of doubt outside of, because they trying to get over the hump and saying, look, we don't need to cheat to win. If the Braves come out and win game 1, that makes them press in game 2. So the Braves need game 1 to be able to say, all right, man, now we can breathe a little bit, because, sports is one of those things where until you've done it in that sport, you have a lot of doubt. Like, I'm here, but we got to win here to say, okay, man, we don't want to just be a team that's here. So Braves get game 1. If, it forces Houston to kind of press a little bit, because let's face it, the Braves are dangerous, extremely dangerous. They go out there and win game 1. Now they got a little cushion, a little bit, Kevin, coming back to Truist. And I think that, when you think about this Braves team, is no matter what people say, you're going to say all the right things, but deep down inside, you have to prove it to yourself, man. We got to go out here and get a game from the Houston. We got to show Houston that they in for a dogfight. Like I said, we ain't going to just lay down for these dudes, and we ain't just happy to finally get over the hump because we are ahead of schedule in year 4 under Snit and Anthopoulos. So get game 1, force Houston to show you how good of a team they are, because that's what they did 2 years ago against the Dodgers. And maybe if they get game 1, Kevin, I know people saying, oh, I don't expect the Braves to get swept. Who says that the Braves get game 1, they don't find a way to, sweep these? I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but look, you can't win game 2 till you win game 1. So in my opinion, go out there and get the first game. Force Houston to show you how good of a team they are.
And again, I think it's playoff baseball is so unique because, as I've said a number of times, it's played so much differently than regular season baseball. And I know you talked about setting the tone. I don't know if there is a set the tone game. I think it's more like Ben said, it's like put the belief out there that you can get it done. I think especially in the World Series, it's game by game. I mean, we've seen situations where teams are up 2-0, lose. Braves were up 3-1 against the Dodgers last year. Didn't get it done. So I think it's a game-by-game situation. This is the true definition of you're only as good as the next day's pitching. And I think that's going to be this series. Look at what the Astros did to the Red Sox in their series. Bludgeoned the baseball. A lot of 7, 8, 9-run ball game looking type stuff out there. The Braves are capable of doing that as well. So I think it's important not to panic if you give up runs because the Astros can score and you can score. And I think you look at the Braves lineup tonight, Jorge Soler back in there as the DH. There's not a soft out anywhere in either one of these lineups, and you wouldn't expect there to be. That's why you're in the World Series. So, look, go out there and play with confidence. I agree, BJ. Charlie Morton, you'd like to win his start. Why? Because the pitching matchup favors you tonight in this situation. You don't have Lance McCullers. If you are Houston, you're going with Framber Valdez making his first World Series start, and again, I don't care who you are. I'll feel just as nervous about Max Fried and Ian Anderson when it's their turn to make their first World Series start. It's the freaking World Series. Like, these guys have dreamt of this since they were playing Little League Baseball, since they were playing high school baseball, since they were minor league baseball. Dude, what would it be like if they give me the ball on the bump in the World Series? Well, you're about to see what happens. Charlie Morton's been there already. So he should have some of that nerve advantage where he's kind of more settled in, and Framber Valdez making his first World Series start tonight. So I do think it's important to get off to a good start and take advantage of what potential jitters there might be. Again, there's a lot of guys on this Braves roster. First time ever in a World Series. You got to settle down a little bit here in game one. So I think survive that initial, oh my goodness, we're in the World Series, settle down and play and trust the guy that's on the hill for you, Charlie Morton, tonight.
That's another shirt, Christian. Christian's been saying he's going to get shirts made of the things that are said on the air. Kevin, with the breaking news, it's the freaking World Series. I mean, would you not buy that shirt? Of course you would buy that shirt. But no, I do think Morton gives you an advantage. Yes, Ben, you said it. Until you've done it on this stage or in this spotlight, there's going to be at least a hint of uncertainty. It's going to be there. And I think what Charlie Morton has done has been great. I mean, he was instrumental in the Braves' run to finish the regular season and win the NL East. He's been great in the playoffs. But if you're being honest, for a team that was a game away from the World Series, mere outs away from the World Series last year, the reason you went out and got a Charlie Morton, and you have the depth in your farm system, the Braves could have just promoted from within and still had a very good rotation. But the reason you went out and said, no, we need to spend money to get a veteran is for nights like this. And you may say, well, did the Braves expect to be in the World Series? Yes. You were 3, 4, 5, 6 outs away from being in the World Series last year. And remember, your rotation for much of last season was a real work in progress. I mean, you were limited with what you were doing, and you look at your team and you did a self-scouting report and said, okay, where do we need to get better? Where do we need to add guys who have played for a decade and a half? And the answer was, we need an ace. And that doesn't mean you didn't believe in Max Fried or Mike Soroka, but it meant you needed somebody who had been there in this moment, on this stage. Charlie Morton was brought to Atlanta for this. I think he knows that, and I think he pitches well tonight.
If one of the headlines coming out of Houston, if Houston is not Houston, we have a problem. It's the Braves. It's going to be a long series, Kevin. Because think about this. I know when it comes to sports, I've never played in no Super Bowl. I've never played in a national championship game. I was blessed enough to play in the playoffs. You know, you're going through the week and all these different things or whatever, and you all nervous, and then you got teammates saying, dude, what's wrong with you? You know, this goes back to the offseason. It's like we're doing what we set out to do. Most players and teams will never set out to do what they should do. BJ, you talk about they was 6 outs away from being in the World Series a year ago. So if the Braves come out and dominate Houston, that's Houston's problem. No one, it's not the Braves' chance to go out there and say, hey man, let's take it easy on these guys. No. Mike Trout has been to the playoffs one time, and he is considered the best player in baseball. You don't want that to be your legacy. Freddie Freeman said it ain't really hit me yet that I'm in the World Series. Somebody should have slapped him in the face with baby powder. Do you see it now? We're here. Let's go. Because if you come in with this wide-eyed, oh my goodness, we in the World Series, you will get beat. You got to normalize this thing. The hardest thing to do in football is, in sports, is to normalize situations you've never been in. You got to normalize it. as soon as possible. And the sooner the Braves can get comfortable and normalize it, I think the better team they are. Because Kevin, I respect Houston, but it ain't like Houston ain't playing against the best team in the National League in 2021. Go out there, be yourself, jump on them game one. Because the Braves go up 1-0. Watch what it does to them Houston guys. They're gonna say all the right things in the post-game press conferences, but in that locker room, they're like, dude, what is I told you not to pitch to freaking Rosario. Don't pitch to him.
Well, I think that's a lot of it. What people say, you've heard them say, hey, in the Super Bowl was like, hey, I was kind of nervous until that first guy hit me, right? Until then I kind of settled down. I think for Atlanta, you might have some of that nervousness until hopefully it's in the first inning tonight, until that first guy gets a hit, until that first guy maybe hits one off the wall and you get a big double. And then you're like, okay, we're here, let's play. And I think the sooner, that will be my one concern for the Braves. And you kind of mentioned it back in the first hour, Ben, of don't be happy just to be there. And I think that's part of the getting comfortable, getting settled in. Is like, look, we are here. Let's go play, and not be bright-eyed into the whole situation where you're like, oh my gosh, we're in the World Series. I can't make a mistake or it's going to be magnified 100 times over. No, go out, play your game. That's what got you there. And love what Jock Peterson put in the Players Tribune today. We just might be the blankety blanks to go out and get this thing done. And I hope that attitude kind of prevails through that locker room with the Braves here in this series with Houston. We've got more to come here on 3 and Out. Also, Georgia, Florida coming up this weekend. We'll hear from Terrence Edwards in the final hour. And when we come back, Brandon Seiler, former Gators All-American linebacker, will join us when we return here on 3 and Out. Good to have you back here on 3 and Out. Kevin, BJ, and Ben will hear from Terrence Edwards coming up in the final hour of the program. Also, we'll hear from Buck Bellew as well. And I did want to hit this before we go to the final hour because, you know, we talk a lot about karma and curses and things of that nature on the show. And apparently there was a little bit of a story that happened today, BJ. Share that with us.
Yeah, it was it was really special. So me, Ben, and Christian were all sitting in kind of the multi-purpose room as it's become, and we're discussing about show topics. All of a sudden, this is before second down. Christian spins around in his chair. He's got one of those nice, luxurious kind of CEO chairs, and he has a piece of trash, like a piece of paper crumpled up in his hand, and he turns around and he goes, "If I make this, George is going to win." And he's like, I don't know, 8 feet away. And keep in mind that, you know, the trash can is like 4 feet wide, and he has a piece of paper that he's holding in his hand. He shoots it and front rims it. That would be a miss. Hits the front of the trash can, crumbles down, rolls out into the floor, and he looked at Ben and I and just said, Yep. You called it. You said if you make this, Georgia wins. But here's what I'm asking: does that mean the opposite is true? Does the reciprocal work?
I never said if I miss, Georgia loses. You're completely missing it. But that's not even the main point. The main point is you said I have a very nice, luxurious chair. I did have a very nice and luxurious chair. If we want to talk about the real story, here's what happened today. Kevin has destroyed my chair by just lounging in it. He doesn't sit in my chair. Kevin lays in my chair, like full body weight, lean back. And today he took it one step forward by putting his feet on my desk.
Yep. And
by feet, you don't mean shoes. You mean feet.
I mean, Kevin had his bare feet on my desk, kicked back into my now ripped office chair.
It's fine.
From putting his big old behind in it and leaning back.
Chris is just doing everything he can to try to break false curses.
He's
over there calling bank shots into the trash can. Christian today ate at an establishment that he discourages me from eating at.
Yeah,
quite
I care
often.
about you. I don't care about myself. I thought you were ain't no curses, Kevin. So why
there
are you
isn't any?
I'm
just laughing because you are the guy that is. I'm afraid to mess with karma, and then you're in there casually calling Georgia wins if I hit this.
Well, no, I was just.
Like, that's all I'm saying.
I can guarantee it if I hit that shot. Now I don't know. Now it's up in the air.
All right, and that was a really unique moment because there was kind of a casual confidence to Christian. He just kind of turned around and said, "If I make this, Georgia wins," like kind of inferring, expecting, and then he front rims it. But I do appreciate Christian's turn of the conversation here because I have to ask, what made you think it was okay to sit in his chair, or as he describes it, lounge in his chair and put your bare feet on his desk?
That's what I do.
What does that mean? Do you do this to other people?
Of course.
Who?
Everybody.
I know if you had done it to a former one of our employees, you may not be with us right now.
Who's that?
Cody.
You had to tell me off air.
Cody would disappear you.
Cody, I put my feet on your desk before.
No, you haven't.
You
ain't crossing that line.
Okay.
He ain't here anymore.
You put your bare feet on his desk too?
My heel. I don't know if my bare feet, my heel. Sorry.
Your heel is part of your foot.
See, I don't know if you guys are familiar. I do this thing every day. It's called shower. And I scrub down. It's like, it's fine.
Well, that would be a step
all right,
ahead.
BJ. So what I'm getting from this is we need to go over to Kevin's house and just put our feet on stuff. I'm sure.
Well,
Amy
look. He doesn't wash his hands. That's been well established for a couple of years now. But okay. What, Ben?
Listen. Let me tell y'all what y'all really need to know. There are certain people in this life, you better not say nothing. You better not do nothing in front of them because it's not only going to come out, it's going to come out for everybody to hear.
Okay, no. Is it okay to put your bare feet on another coworker's desk?
I mean, no and yes, because no, listen, no, you shouldn't, but yes, because Kevin's going to, if Kevin wasn't thinking about doing it, because you say you shouldn't do it, he's probably wiggling his toes right now, getting ready for the break to go out there and do it right now. So Kevin's going to go in, sit at Christian's desk, put his feet up, wiggle his toes, and look at you and say, Would you say something? Did you say something over there?
I'm
What?
actually trying to think of a desk in this office that my feet probably haven't been on at some point.
Listen, that sign that says no shoes, no shirt, no service, that is Kevin. That is for Kevin. Just saying.
Get
BJ, you
the
gotta put
Lysol. Where's the
Kevin there.
Lysol? Where's the Lysol? Christian, get the Lysol.
We'll come back. We'll come back, Terrence Edwards, in the final hour. We're for Puck Baloo as well as 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you here. Hour number 3 here. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, BJ Bennett, and Ben Troop. We'll hear from Terrence Edwards this hour, former Georgia Bulldog wide receiver, also Buck Bellew this hour as well. And we are now, guys, just under 3 hours to go until game 1 tonight of the World Series. Charlie Morton, Framber Valdez will be your pitching matchup. Terrence Gore, Kyle Wright have been put on the World Series roster. Johan Camargo and Jacob Webb are off the World Series roster. And the Braves, again, in the World Series for the first time since 1999. We went back and looked to see how much playoff or World Series experience, rather, do the Braves actually have. Jock Peterson, of course, with the Dodgers, BJ, Charlie Morton with the Rays, Travis d'Arnaud with the 2015 Mets, and Jorge Soler didn't get a lot of playing time, but was on the 2016 Cubs. So you have a very, very small amount of World Series experience on this roster coming into tonight's ball game.
Yeah, you have some, and I think most prominently with your starting pitcher. And I do think that's an advantage for Atlanta to have a guy that's 37 years old, has been pitching great, and has been in the World Series before. I think that helps. But a lot of storylines, right? The pitching matchups, the lineup with Soler leading off. I think Rosario down at number 5. You think about the legacy of Freddie Freeman. You think about how do you use Tyler Matzik. A lot of stuff I want to get to, want to discuss here. But, Kevin, I have to ask you this first. Ben, are you going to be able to stay awake for the whole game? I think that's a really important distinction we need to admit to and jump into here right away. Are you good for a full 9 innings tonight?
Absolutely. Absolutely not. Listen, BJ, you know what I do better than anybody else. My body finds a way to wake itself up right when the game is over. I go straight to YouTube. I go straight to the highlights. And listen, cut out all the commercial breaks, BJ. And I go, listen, you get right to the theater, and I get to go right to it. But this is the first thing I do. I turn on the phone, go to the app. I go like this. I kind of like, they get game 1. Then I know what kind of mood, BJ, I need to be in when I do watch the highlights. Because if it's game 1 loss, BJ, I'm going to blame it on the fact that, you're not your regular, pessimistic stuff. Like, I want to make sure that because BJ, are you nervous?
I mean, I will say this. And when I came in this morning and somebody was late to pick me up and I was waiting out in the parking lot with Kevin.
It was a nice day this morning.
I'm just saying.
Once again,
what?
Just to tell the listeners again, nothing can happen behind the scenes.
What?
BJ,
No, I'm setting the scene. I was on time for something, and I was waiting on somebody to get there. So Kevin, of course, gets to work super early before everybody else. So I'm sitting there talking with Kevin, and I'm like, I don't know why this person's so late. Like, they're super late. But then Kevin says, hey, man, I feel really good about tonight. I said, really? Because, normally Kevin's kind of, either or in between. You said, no, I feel good about tonight. And because he said that, like first thing in the morning, the sun was kind of settling. The sky was kind of clear and anew, and there was this like optimism in the air. And then Kevin came in with the affirmation and said, I'm feeling good about tonight. My normal angst is not there. I'm not saying I feel good, but I don't feel bad because of Kevin's words in the moment this morning.
You don't feel good, but you don't feel bad. Now, you don't feel bad because of what Kevin, are you used to Kevin, being that optimistic, that early in the morning about
I don't know. This is what I'm saying. There was just, you can tell when someone comes up to you and goes, hey, feel good about the game this weekend. Like some Gator fans may be saying that, right? Like, hey, I feel good about the game this week. Do you? I'm just asking. So what I'm saying is Kevin was authentic. And there was kind of a little bit of a crisp bite in the air. A lot of people were on time for what they were supposed to do. Some other people weren't. And then I looked over at Kevin, and kind of in that setting, he just looked at me and he had this glow and he had kind of this aura, and he said, look, I feel good about it. So I'm a naturally pessimistic person, but Kevin's confidence is giving me confidence. Is that fair to say?
Whoa. I mean, no. When the last time has this happened for you, though? Like, Kevin's confidence gave you confidence.
95. Actually, before the 95 series, Kevin texted me.
We didn't even know it.
Yeah,
text messages.
I feel really good. Yeah. Kevin sent me a telegram before the 95 series, and he said, I feel really good.
Now, BJ, today was your type of day. It's kind of like overcast a little bit. No, I think that was yesterday, kind of overcast. Kevin comes out today. He's confident. I think Kevin was going to put some cheese in the bank. You know how Kevin do. When Kevin walk in the bank, people like gasp. Oh, my Lord. Watch how much money this dude put in the bank. I'm trying to tell you, that's Kevin Thomas right there. Mr. got money so tall, everybody gonna fall. No, I am confident. I'm confident, BJ, because the Braves are one of the best teams in baseball. There are 28 other teams watching the Braves get ready to play them Houston Astros. I am confident because I watched a team have an unconventional way of winning without Ronald Acuna Jr., and they found a way without Marcell Ozuna, and they found a way with the new additions. BJ, Kevin was telling you better get up off Snit. Do not question, because whatever Snit has or hasn't done has got us to this point. So look, I am confident when Kevin is confident. When Kevin comes to you, say, hey man, I feel good about them Braves today. You could have messed that up, BJ, with, well, don't get me, keep it positive. We're not saying anything too complimentary because there are no curses, but too much complimentary talk is not always the best thing for a team, because, somebody had the nerve to ask me, hey, man, you always wear Braves hat. Are you a Braves fan? I'm like, that's ridiculous. What kind of, absolutely. Been a Braves fan before I even knew what them Bravos were. So to my grandfather who's looking down right now, Granddaddy, this is for you, and hopefully we go out there and get that World Series. And yes, I am saying we and not them. This is for the ATL. Just saying.
It is for Braves. No, but look, I do, like I said, I feel like there should be an air of confidence about this baseball team because they've played really, really well. And it's not just been one guy or two guys carrying the team. It's been a collective effort, and that is unbelievable. I mean, you go back and look at the teams of the 90s, and it was Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz, and you kind of hoped you hit enough to win, right? I mean, that's kind of the way the Braves played in the 90s was, look, we're going to bludgeon you with starting pitching, and if you happen to score 3 or 4 runs, we might not be able to score that many. It's not the case for this team. This team is able to score runs. This team does not give you an out in the lineup where you say, yeah, we can kind of try to get out of the inning here. They don't do that. Go back and think of some of those Braves teams. This is no disrespect to those guys. It's just a different way the game is played. But you go through your Rafael Belliards and some guys like that in the lineup where you say, okay, they're maybe not the best hitting guys on the roster. Now you have guys that if you make a mistake can hit it out. Rafael Belliard was not going to take you deep. Certain guys in the Braves lineups of years past were not going to take you deep. Name me a guy in tonight's lineup who can't take you deep if you hang one.
Yeah, what's interesting about that, Kevin, is if you think about it from a purely stats standpoint, right? I think the answer is probably Travis d'Arnaud. And what's interesting is when he's been healthy, he's been one of the best power hitters at the catcher position in all of baseball. I mean, it's a great point.
Yeah, so the lineup is good. I think the starting pitching for the Braves is good. And I think we'll see Max Fried bounce back. And again, maybe I'm looking at it and say, look, you pitched well all season late down the stretch, especially. You pitched well in the postseason, except for the Dodgers series, which you're a California native and an LA native. Luke Jackson pitched really well for you all season long, except against the Dodgers. I think there's reason to believe that this team can go toe-to-toe with the Astros and should enter this season or this series confident. And again, if you're a Braves fan, you shouldn't enter this any other way than confident. You have a team that is good, that has been the best in the majors, not the best in the National League. They have been the best team in Major League Baseball since the trade deadline in terms of their record. They are a good collection of players. They are a good team. They are a solid team. They have a lot of fun, and they can go out and do it in a number of ways. It's not just, if our pitching's off, we can't win. Nope, can do it. If our hitting's off, we can't win. Incorrect. You can win that way. You can win a number of different ways with this Braves team. I don't know that was always the case with some of those teams in the 90s. You really relied on Smoltz, Maddox, and Glavine to go out there and get the job done. And if you had an off series from Andrew Jones and Chipper Jones, your offense was probably going to struggle. Look, Freddie Freeman can have a tough series, and the Braves can still win. He was 0 for 8 with 7 strikeouts, and the Braves were still winning games. In other years, you may not have been able to say that. So if you're a Braves fan, confidence in what this team can do. Now, there's a difference in being confident and going out there and saying something stupid like, oh, the Braves are going to win it. It's not, no, but you should be confident. That's why I say I feel good. I don't enter this thing going, man, it's just I think they kind of backdoored their way in there. Don't really like the way they play. It's just a bad matchup. No, this is a good matchup. You're going to beat another good team. You have a good team, a team that can hit the baseball all up and down the lineup. I don't feel like you're ever out of a game because of that. We've seen the Braves kind of rekindle some of that late inning magic here in the last month or so of the season. That's what's made them a special team. And I think you should be excited about watching this game tonight. Again, with the way the players are feeling. Again, if you want to get pumped up, just go read Jock Peterson's article in the Players Tribune. That'll pump you up big time. Get you ready to go for the World Series tonight and believe that they can do it. I think, obviously, people are going to talk about Tyler Matzek, BJ, and the role of this bullpen. But again, you said, where do you use Tyler Matzek? Tyler Matzek is your high leverage guy, not your closer, but I've said this a number of times. Sometimes the most important outs you see in a baseball game are not in the ninth inning. And we saw that from Tyler Matzek in the Dodgers series.
Yeah, and I think it'll be really interesting to see kind of when he's called upon, because he has just an amazing combination of attitude and stuff. And you saw that on display in the clinching win over LA, where he came out not only in a difficult spot, but with Mookie Betts and Albert Pujols coming up and went right after those guys. I mean, Kevin, I think there's kind of some flexibility with Matzek, where you know where you're going in the ninth. You know that Will Smith is the guy. And as we've talked about this week and last week, he's been great in the postseason, and give him that credit. He's earned it. He's been great, has not walked people, has come after hitters. He's been great in the postseason. But I do think you have a little flexibility with how you want to use Tyler Matzek, Luke Jackson. I think you want to run Luke out there. I do, because you don't want him to kind of sit in that frustration of his last performance. He's been really good this year. Get him out there, let him have that confidence. But I think you could run Matzek out as a setup guy. You could run Matzek out situationally in the 6th or 7th if there's runners on. So I think you have a great luxury in that Tyler Matzek, who might be one of the players to watch overall in the whole series, can come out and do a number of different things for you.
Matzek is definitely your ace in the hole, BJ. Mentor has looked good. I know Luke Jackson didn't have his best performance, but it gives you more confidence as a player when I don't have to be at my best, when my teammates are going to pick me up. That's what teammates are for, to pick you up when you're not having your best. And we're not talking about Will Smith enough. I'm telling you, once again, I go back to what Kevin Thomas said. This is what they got him for the postseason. And something that Kevin said that I think needs to be stressed more. With this Braves lineup, you make a mistake, they will make you pay. And there's a lot of guys that can make you pay. And to me, that's what should give, that's what you give this starting pitcher and this bullpen a lot of confidence, knowing that, look, you're going to have a lineup that's going to do their part. And I know what was it 2 years ago, Kevin, they was the best late inning team in baseball. They kind of been showing that now, in the postseason. I don't like the late game heroics. I can live with them, but I think that this lineup is going to do their part. I think this defense is going to do their part. And hey, I like BJ. It's not a lot of times we say we feel good about the Braves bullpen, not just certain guys in it. Luke Jackson going to have to redeem himself. We talk about Matzek now. Who knows? Luke Jackson could be the talk of this World Series, depending on how he rebounds.
Certainly. And again, for just case in point and notes situation, game 1 tonight, the Braves did, according to Brian Sticker, this from Jeff Schultz with The Athletic, the Braves did bring Ronald Acuna Jr., Mike Soroka, and Stephen Vogt on the trip to Houston. Brian Sticker saying he wanted them to experience this. So you will have that emotional lift to the dugout with Ronald Acuna and others cheering you on right there in Houston. We've got so much to get to here in the final hour of the program. We're talking Georgia, Florida. When we come back, Terrence Edwards will join us. Also hear from Buck Belue coming up, and he's certainly no one better to talk to you about Georgia, Florida than Buck Belue. I will hear from him coming up in just a little bit. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.